Our agenda tonight, we have a resolution to authorize the renewal of the school district's operating levy. One of the requirements of that is that we have public testimony on that proposed renewal. And so we're going to do that right now. So I'm going to call people up.
Madam Chair, to member Rebeline's point of order, we've got to retake that vote individually for the approval.
I'm sorry, I see what you were getting at. Okay. So for the, we've got a motion and a second on the meeting agenda. Member Clerk, could you please take a roll call?
Yes. Member Tyson.
Aye.
Member Ebeline.
Aye.
Member Corcoran.
Aye.
Member Hagelin.
Aye.
Member Peterson.
Aye.
Member Rayfield.
Aye.
Member Christensen votes aye. The ayes have it.
All right, thank you for keeping me on track on that. All right, so I'm going to call people up, and as I call you up, just kind of introduce yourself, maybe say where you're from, and you've got 3 minutes, and we'll start with Claire Luger.
Good evening. My name is Claire Luger. I'm a district taxpayer and parent. By June, all 3 of my kids will have graduated, finished their education here. They started in preschool, will be graduating high school. They've had some amazing teachers and some amazing experiences. I am also a product of the district, and I also began my teaching career in this district. Every year, I look at the district portion of my taxes as a taxpayer and a parent and an educator and an elected official. And, you know, I happily pay them because I really, while I wish the state funding formula were different, it's not. And I understand that my responsibility is to my community. The history of this levy is really important. For those who don't know or weren't here at the time, you should know that it took $7.5 million in cuts over 4 years, a loss of 53 educators, and 12 years for one to pass in 2018. It took a group of us community members, educators, students, and guardians to donate our time, energy to educating the public on what was at stake if we couldn't get on track with the economy. As a result, this community came together in 2018 with a mandate to change the course of the 40 student classrooms and staff cuts. I'll say it again. This community has already approved this levy once. They've already voiced their support for the levy, and quite frankly, the amount of disinformation that's been floating to our community members is embarrassing. As an elected council member in my city, I'm well aware of the challenges that go into budget decisions, the need for transparency, and knowing what's best and reasonable for the community. This, however, is a no-brainer. Every single one of you seated at the dais knows that voting to renew the levy costs 0% increase in our taxes. I say to any board member leaning towards voting nay on this item, if you can't identify $6 million elsewhere in our budget that we can cut that doesn't come to a consequence to our students, then your responsibility is to renew. This district has always operated on a slim budget. And we know that because it's been verified by clean audits and a really transparent budget process. My youngest will graduate this June, and it would be obtuse for me to believe that the quality of schools won't impact me just because I don't have kids in the district anymore. We owe it to our families, our students, and our educators to ensure that we can continue to offer high quality learning. We also owe it to our community members who frankly know that this is the right thing. There is no shortage of districts statewide that have already renewed their budgets based on the 2023 state legislation, and now it's our turn. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Bystrom.
Good evening, Superintendent Massey, Chair Rayfield, and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Kathy Bystrom, and as many of you know, I am a proud Ranger alumni, a mom of 2 Ranger alumni, nearly lifelong resident of the Forest Lake community, and a former school board member. Tonight I'm here to urge you to approve the resolution authorizing the renewal of the expiring referendum. I could start by restating the obvious that in 2023, the legislature granted you the authority to renew an expiring levy to reduce the administrative burden of a referendum renewal, which tends to pass far more often than it fails. That the ability to do so saves the district and taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars. And most importantly, that the straight renewal does not result in a tax increase for residents of the district. I could also go into a lengthy diatribe on the legislature's constitutional obligation to adequately and equitably fund public education, or the need for property tax reform so the bulk of public education funding doesn't fall to the local property taxpayer, but that's another topic for another day. While I understand and can sympathize with the argument that taxpayers should have the right to vote on issues like this, it has been historically difficult to get bonds and levies passed in this community. Cities can levy taxpayers without a vote, so can counties. I believe one of the reasons the legislature granted you the authority to do so in this case is because you have been elected in good faith by the people to make these kinds of difficult and important decisions. The legislature values local support and control and decision-making. When I ponder this issue, the question I keep coming back to is it worth the risk? Is it worth the risk to try to go out for a vote? I get it. If the levy renewal were to be put to the voters and did not pass, my understanding is that it would result in approximately $6 million in cuts. That's the equivalent of about 100 teachers when I do the math, or perhaps whole departments within our schools. Much of what this community has sacrificed and worked so hard to build for our kids the past decade or so would be gone. That's not lean operations, that's devastation. I sat in those seats at that dais when we needed to make $1 to $2 million cuts. It was incredibly difficult and oftentimes nearly impossible because you knew somebody was going to be hurt. Teachers lost their jobs, students lost important programs that got them out of bed and to school every day. I can't fathom $6 million. No one likes taxes, I get it. My husband recently retired and I'm not far behind. We've worked hard and we've planned in retirement. If it's truly retirement, the opportunity for income growth plateaus. I think that's part of the issue, especially for our older population of people. There is only so much budgets can take, but the beauty of this renewal, it isn't impacting our budget. It's in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron Turner.
Good evening. My name is Erin Turner. I am a proud graduate of Forest Lake High School as well, class of 1993. My kids are both out of school, actually went to Leela. During the time that they were in school, I did spend 5 years on this school board as well. I will say that we chose Leela for our kids because this school board years ago chose not to have a Spanish immersion program in the form of Leela at the time. And later came back to regret that and to say, oh boy, it seems like Spanish immersion was a good idea in the first place. So I want you to think about that tonight, that there can be a mistake that can be devastating to the district long-term, right? Now we have competition that's taking our kids to Leela, my kids, there they are. But so I was personally thrilled to see that the legislature decided to pass a law allowing a school board to renew a levy without a community vote one time. I think it's long overdue. I noted Ms. Bystrom was saying that counties get to do this, cities get to do this. I would add to that watershed districts get to do that. But for whatever reason, school boards have always been left out of that. And so I was thrilled to see that was now a possibility. I've worked on many bonds and levies over the years. And I can say with absolute confidence that it just sucks the life out of the district, the staff, the community volunteers, just trying to hang on to what we have. I also know that it costs the taxpayers probably upwards of $100,000 to run an election in an off year. So yeah, it was really hard to pass this levy in 2018. And I too sat on the school board with Ms. Bystrom, with Ms. Tyson, with Ms. Corcoran, Mr. Raphael at that time, cutting millions of dollars, and it was devastating. And the most important thing to remember is it's devastating to the kids and to the future of the community. It is super sad to see people lose their jobs too, right? But it's an organization that needs to be supported over time and invested in to become what it can be. And I also come at this just to say, why risk it? I'm sorry, but why, as the school board who is here to do best for the school district, why would you not take this opportunity to keep the district funded, It literally makes no sense to me as a fiduciary of the district, as an agent to protect the school district, why you would consider a no vote putting the district in just a devastating situation. You're already on a lean budget. If you renew, all of the staff and the community and the administration and the faculty gets to put their energy and their brilliant minds to work to educate our kids. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Julie Stream.
I would like to make a few comments tonight, some things to consider, some questions to ask, some things to hopefully be in the discussion tonight prior to the vote. Like you said, my name is Julie Stream. I'm from the Wyoming area. I'm hoping that you guys will reiterate tonight kind of the time frame or the window that you have to make this decision. If my understanding is correct, it's a pretty wide window that the state gave you to make this decision, which means it could have been a decision made in 2024, or it could be a decision made further into the future. There's a range of time. So for the board to address that time window, as well as address why we're here tonight doing this on January 2nd, would be very helpful to the community. It seems unusual that this first reading came about just a month after the election, and now the vote tonight is just days prior to new school board members being sworn in. So this time frame is something that definitely could be addressed. This fear factor of losing all this money, I heard many of the people on this board talk over and over that they felt reassured to vote for this renewal based on the fact that if this went before the community, 90% chance that it would be supported and passed by the community, 90%. I think those numbers are really high and should give everybody encouragement, but it also makes me question why the urgency and why we're here right now doing this. Another thing that I think would be really helpful to address is just the projections if this were to pass. You guys sit here and talk about, you know, if we don't renew it here at the board level, that means there'll be $6 million in cuts. But what if you do renew it? Is this going to carry you through the next 8 years? Is this meeting the needs of the district? Are there still going to be cuts? I think those points are things that you could present to the community now, letting people know, are there cuts coming anyways, even with this? So I would like to know if you really believe that this is meeting the needs of the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dean Barr.
Hi, I'm Dean Barr. One of the things that I want to talk about was the levy and the renewal, that the board clearly has the authority to go through and renew the current levy that we have. And renewal guarantees that we have stable funding and that we also don't raise taxes beyond what they are right now. We're not going through and raising anything, it's just continuing what we've got. On top of it, the board approval saves the community the burden of going through holding an election, which is very painful. I've been through it numerous times, and also saves the district probably an estimated $50,000 or more in expenses that they would have, fees that they would have to pay the people that are doing it. So anyway, I'm in favor of going through and renewing the levy.
Thank you. Larissa Grotman.
Hello. Hello. My name is Larissa Grotman. I am a mother of 2. I come to you guys because this is an important situation. Children's education has always been important to me. That's why I took it into my own hands and I had my kid come home with me this last year. I homeschooled him, and so I know the price of books. Even the most expensive books would be $100. By raising the levy again, you're taking more money that you already have from the state, and then you're getting more on top of that. And the state already allows like 10,000, if not more than that, per student that you guys get. And it goes towards teachers and different things, transportation and building costs, things like that. And then the rest goes out to the people. But I feel like it's important that the people get a say in this. Yes, you talk about the price of elections and stuff, but there's so many people that don't know about this meeting today. I only found out by word of mouth. It wasn't a normal meeting that happens all the time. And so I feel like it's very important that every person in the state, in this area, gets a vote. Like, everyone that would have come in and said yes or no are not getting that chance today, because a lot of people don't know about this. And I feel like, for nothing else, for their sake, please bring this back to a vote. If they said yes back then, and they still agree with it, they'll probably give it to you guys again, and that's good. But to just not give them a say, not give them a choice, I feel like that's not right. Like, I ask that you guys please vote no for this and give it back to the people, because we the people would like to just have our voices heard. That's all it is at the end of the day. We don't mind giving to kids, but we just want our voices to be heard. So I just ask, don't vote on this just through these few people, but let the community be able to choose. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane Smith.
Hello, board. Thanks for letting me speak. I'm Diane Smith. I have a senior who is graduating over in Roseville at a private school, and I had a daughter who just graduated last year, so I'm at the end. But now I have grandchildren that are going to be starting in 4 years, so the cycle continues. So just real short and sweet, I would love for you to say no tonight for a possible yes or no in the future, and let the people decide. I think it is so important that the position that you hold at such, it's a higher level than we have. So we're counting on you to let the people decide. It's just so simple, because this is the state's money, but it really does come out of our pockets. We pay taxes for everything in this state. And I was just calculating where there's 6.85, something like that, %. It's not cheap to live in Minnesota. And so when people hear that this school board chose to hear from the people, no matter the cost, which also, by the way, the cost can be so reduced. There are so many ways to skin this cat and to have people vote. And I would happily be on a committee because I've run many events in my life, and I would be happy to sit on a committee or just talk about a way to bring in the community for a vote. We don't need to spend $10,000 to do this. That's ridiculous. But anyway, I just think people would cheer you on and be very happy to see that this group, despite a yes or no vote, what's on the hearts of people, that you are going to ask them to decide and not you, even though it's legal and even though the legislature has made a law. There are plenty of laws that probably shouldn't be followed, even though they are laws, if I'm going to be quite honest. So I had something else I was going to bring up tonight. I'm not going to get into the weeds of it because I need more information. It's just about communications to a parent. A student was expelled or removed from the classroom at the very least because of words she has chosen speaking to another student. Kids are very Captain Obvious when they talk to kids, okay, other kids. So I'm not going to go into the weeds of it because I don't have all the information, but a child was expelled for talking to her friend and using certain words. So I just hope that Forest Lake is not becoming a school
We should probably, this is a hearing for the levy.
Oh, well, on the sign-up sheet it said or other, so I just chose an agenda item on communications.
Yeah, but yeah, we should probably stick. We have a rule where we stick to things that are on the agenda,
Yes.
and so that, yeah.
I understand, and it says
Okay.
Communications Committee is going to be speaking on the agenda. So just as a communications tool, just to make sure all communications are very, very clear. Or to parents. Okay, thank you.
Dean Erickson.
Hi, my name is Dean Erickson. I live in Wyoming and within the Forest Lake Area School District. I'm also one of the people. I'm coming to you, the school board members and honorable trustees of the people, to help explain the 2-page document received on December 19th, titled Notice of Danger of Trespass Against the People with Unofficial Act Exceeding Granted Authority. This notice concisely captures the concern of the people, but deserves a little more background and clarification. You are trustees by virtue of your election by the people, by your oath to support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, and that you will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of school board member to the best of your judgment and ability. I support you and thank you for your willingness to serve the people and the children in your care. This is a great honor and responsibility. I see evidence that you are trying to faithfully abide by the statutes given you by the legislature. Unfortunately, they have led you astray in regard to an unlawful, unconstitutional extension to the school levy without approval by the people. You swore an oath to a constitution, not to the statutes. The state has tried to grant you authority it doesn't have. In 2018, the voters approved a time-limited levy, a tax lasting for just 8 years. This is a contract you made with the people. You and the legislature have no authority to materially change any contract without both parties approving it. While the Constitution establishes 3 separate branches of government, the legislative, executive, and the judicial, the people have always retained the authority over the government and its servants. Article 1, Section 1 states, government is instituted for the security, benefit, and protection of the people, in whom all political power is inherent, together with the right to alter, modify, or reform government wherever required by the public good, whenever required by the public good. In the last few years, God has awakened the people to our responsibility in this grand American experiment of self-government. It starts with watching carefully and lovingly reminding our trustees when they step out of bounds. This is what you are experiencing today with the notice that I gave you in December 19th. This notice is intended to put a friendly spotlight on a potential trespass that could require further legal action. It is given in a format that emphasizes the seriousness of your action, and it lays the groundwork for future action if needed. It is our hope that this will awaken you to something you simply did not realize you were doing. One more sentence. Please end this unlawful pursuit to the right, do the right thing, and trust the incoming school board to put the issue before the voters if needed. There is no urgency here. The current levy is still in effect through 2027. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Daniel Tuat.
Awesome. Thanks for having us here. I just wanted to hit more of a high level. If you look at school funding, right, let's look at 4 buckets: federal funding, state funding, and you got your property tax levies, which are set by the school board. Every year, people don't have a voter saying that. There's a 4th bucket, which is, it has 2 names. It's called a referendum. On the property tax statement, it says voter approved referendum. There's another name, it's excess levy. Anyways, voter approved referendum is like the reason it's called excess levy is because it's a gift from the community to the schools, and it also gets tacked into your property taxes. So it'd be 2 different line items on the property tax. So I looked up before the 2018, which I voted for the 2018 levy, by the way, because I'm all about funding schools. But I looked up, just curious, because of inflation and where things have gone, you know, households are struggling. I said, I wonder what my taxes were prior to the levy and what they're at now. They've gone up $1,800, on my household, $1,844 from that to today. So I thought, holy buckets, that's like a car, that's $153 a month. It's like a car payment, right? So my thought is a couple-fold. One would be looking at, okay, one would be that there's no rush because, like the gentleman just mentioned, it's June 30th of 2027. So it's not a rush to do this tonight. what if instead, what if instead we looked at, like, you guys had a really bright idea. Well, we got 2 buildings across the parking lot from each other. Let's put the kids from 2 buildings into 1 and we can save $1 million a year. Awesome, okay? So like there are ways to, you know, with the advent of AI technology and blockchain technology, you know, administrative stuff that took weeks, you can do in just minutes. You know, there's efficiencies, and then there's other ways of making money in a school district of, like, you know, like renting out the sports for, you know, hockey or whatever for making extra, or collaborating with other districts on, let's say, a special program that might cost money, but if you join with other districts, you can save money. You know, there's a lot of efficiency where you don't have to cut any teachers, you don't have to cut any programs or sports, but there might be a more, like, that's what we do in America, is ingenuity and thinking outside the box and finding ways of looking at challenges in a new light. So I would encourage the board to take, we have time, take a pencil, sit down, you know, just going through the budget after this new building, this new school closure, you know, the Reimagine 2025, and look at, okay, what do we need to run a healthy school district? And then go back to the public and say, maybe we don't need $1,000 extra in this 4th bucket of money. Maybe, gosh darn, we could do it on 500 a kid, or, you know, and be able to leave it with the people. And I would say, I would close with this, that you got to be careful with, yes, this is a new signed power by the legislature, but it seems like whenever a problem comes up and someone says, give me your power, I'll take care of the problem, and then wasn't able to take care of it, give me more power. And that's how you go down the road to totalitarianism. So do we want to set that standard as the norm here in Forest Lake, as, well, we'll just take the gift that was voted by the community and we'll just keep taking it? I would just say maybe we look at it more. We've got time. So thank you very, very much.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
all you do.
Tessa Antonsen?
Hey everybody, thanks for having me. Daniel, thanks for that good energy up here. So I really just am going to end up reiterating some points that other people have made here tonight. I did myself, oh sure, thank you. I myself voted for this without any meeting with anybody from the school board or lobbying to get this passed back in 2018, 15, whatever it was. Do we know? Anyway, I know that it's supposed to run through 2026, 27 school year. So my thoughts were, why is this so urgent right now, today, after, you know, we've got several years before this thing expires. We're going to be closing a school next year. There's going to be some more money that the district gets from that. I just don't understand the urgency with why this needs to be voted on today. And there are concerns that I had about $1 million in 2018 is not the same here in 2025, and certainly isn't going to be the same in, you know, 2027, and is asking for what the current levy is, or not asking, but just taking what the current levy is and renewing it, going to be enough to maintain operating costs through 2035. I mean, that seems a little underestimated to me. I feel like, how long is it going to be before, once the new board takes positions here, that we're out asking for more money from the district? And how much are they going to be willing to give it to us if their vote has been taken away essentially just because the legislature says that you can do it? And I think we all know that just because we can doesn't always mean that we should. So I agree with Julie Stream's points. Is this the final solution? This is going to make everything copacetic until 2035? Because I don't see that happening. But I also do support teachers, and I don't want to see any of this go on like you guys have struggled with. So I get that it's kind of a conundrum, but I just also want to say, while you're supposed to, as board members, be making sure that the district runs smoothly and that we have all these great programs in place that we do, you are also responsible to the people that elected you to these seats, and they need to be able to trust you. And I feel like, you know, while the meeting from December 5th has about 223 views on Facebook. The one from November 14th has 8,000. How did that get such a disparity? Is it simply just the content, or is it the motivation behind putting that information out to the public to view it? And it's unfortunate because Chrissy last in that December 12th meeting said there's programs in place that can help people that are struggling with their taxes, but not a lot of people know because they don't watch these videos. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sharon Joy.
Thank you for taking time to meet with all of us, the public, and get our feedback. I would just like to encourage you to perhaps wait and let the people decide for this. And I know it's hard to do because you have ways that the money needs to be spent. But on the other hand, you know, with the inflation the way it's been and all the increases for people for living, a lot of people are struggling just to put food on their table and pay for their kids' needs. And if the property taxes continue to hold at the high rate they are now, it's going to make it even more difficult. Where if the people had the opportunity to vote on this, then at least they would feel like we had some kind of a say and we weren't just railroaded. So that's my feelings.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lisa Peterson.
Good evening, Dr. Massey and members of the board. My name is Lisa Peterson, and I've been a proud member of the Forest Lake community since 2001. I'm the mother of 3 children, 2 Forest Lake graduates, and 1 who's currently a junior. I'm here tonight to urge you to renew the existing levy and emphasize the critical role that funding plays in sustaining our schools and community. Since 2002, I've been deeply involved in supporting our schools, whether it was serving on PTAs across the district or my current role as chair of the all-night senior party committee. These experiences have given me a front row seat to the profound difference strong, well-funded schools make, not just for our children, but for the entire community. The extension of this levy is not about luxury or excess. It is about maintaining the essential programs and services that our students need to thrive. Without this funding, the district faces a potential $6 million shortfall. Such a drastic reduction would force us to make painful cuts to teaching positions, vital programs, and student services. Larger class sizes, diminished extracurricular activities, and fewer academic resources are not abstract possibilities. They are inevitable consequences of inaction. These cuts would harm our children's futures and erode the foundation of our community. Strong schools are the bedrock of a prosperous, vibrant community. They attract families, increase property values, and foster the kind of environment where businesses and residents want to invest. Every dollar spent on education today pays dividends in the form of a more skilled, engaged, and successful next generation. Moreover, I must question the necessity of a referendum vote on this matter. Such a process not only incurs unnecessary costs, but also creates uncertainty for families and staff. The levy renewal is not introducing new taxation. It is preserving the current level of support that our schools rely on. Asking voters to reconfirm something so essential and already approved in the past is an inefficient use of time and resources that could be better spent addressing our schools' immediate needs. As a community, we cannot afford to gamble with our children's education or our community's future. I implore the board to take decisive action and renew this levy. Doing so will ensure that our schools remain the pillars of strength and opportunity they've always been, providing every student with the tools they need to succeed. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to our community and its future.
Thank you. Thank you. Kim Rayfield.
Hi, my name is Kim Rayfield from Scandia. Dr. Massey, board, thank you for letting us speak today. It's really an important topic. So I would like to strongly encourage all 7 of you to please vote yes to renew this current levy tonight. I could go on and on. People have said great things about what we would lose if it didn't pass, but what I want to talk about is the cost involved. So I know some people, it's a simple choice, put it to the voters, but there is a huge cost. And I have been a part of the team with many, many good people in the community that have paid some of that price. So I want people to really understand just how time intensive it takes to run a levy campaign. People work their 8-hour days, they have kids at home, and they come, instead of going home to be with their families, they're at a meeting. They're working on their computers, they're door knocking, they're making phone calls, they're strategizing, they're doing marketing, they're doing all these things, not spending time with their families to do something for the community because we believe that's an important thing. Okay, Rob and I spent our 25th anniversary at a levy meeting. That was not how I planned to spend my 25th anniversary, as much as I loved every person in that room, okay? So, but I just want people to remember, this is not free. It's very expensive monetarily. It's expensive for the community. It pits people against each other sometimes. There's time, hours spent. That is not free. And so the legislature saw that there must be a problem, or this wouldn't have come up. And so they gave you the opportunity to renew a levy one time. I think we would be fools not to do it. It's a 0% increase, it's a status quo, it's extremely important. And I remember the days when we had a reputation for not supporting our schools. I don't want to go back to those days, please. I do not want to go back to those days. We are healthy. We owe it to the students, we owe it to the staff, we owe it to us, we owe it to the community to pass this, put it behind us, get us on stable ground, give people the, knowing what the future is going to be, move on to all your innovation and doing what's best for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Moorhead.
Sure. Good evening. Thank you for allowing so many people to speak. We all speak from the heart. We all love our community and we love our kids. But I've experienced time on this board, and I came into the situation not knowing the complexities that are out there, that board members have to learn, have to agree, and the time and the effort that it puts in. I came in because of an issue. I didn't come in because of money. I had an issue. And the people that supported me trusted me that I would speak for the community because it was something that affected the community. And I respected them for that. But then when you're on the board, you also would like to have the respect that when you have to make a decision that maybe doesn't sound good or look good, that these same people that you respected for all the other reasons are making it from the heart. I had a whole thing planned here, and after listening to the people, I agree with all the ones that talk about how much time and how much effort and how much grief it causes with people in the community. So why would we wait? I would like the new board to come in and be able to have issues that are important to them now and be able to work to make the district even better instead of coming in and having to start the whole process over again and putting the district divided. There are people that disagree with me speaking tonight, but as a senior now, I can react to all those people that said I'm on a fixed income. Well, guess what? I am. But as a conservative on a fixed income, I know it's better use for my money to keep this going and not cost me another dollar on the taxes, rather than take a small portion off of my taxes, only to then have to go around and start the whole process again of spending thousands of dollars to get the same thing that we had in the beginning. So as a conservative, it doesn't make any sense to me to undo what we did, to only take the chance that we have to do it again. I'm very proud of the board I was on. I was very proud of the decisions that we made, proud of the community when they came forward, because it was not easy. And I just appreciate you listening and not being offended that we would do it a little early, because to me it gives the new board a chance to look at issues that are important to them today and keep our kids in the same good atmosphere that we've had. We're not the highest in the district, but we have finally caught up, and I wouldn't want to go backwards. So as a former board member, I understand what you're listening to and what you're hearing, but everyone elected you to do what is best for the entire district. So I look forward to your decision, and I would be voting yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Diane Miller.
I'm also short. Diane Miller, good evening to the board and Dr. Massey. I live in Wyoming District. If you notice the sticker on my sweater, it was a gift from my granddaughter today that she made for me, and that is my reminder for why I'm here tonight. I am here also to remind the board of your current district policy number 110 titled Adequate Information to Precede Action, which states, number 1, except in emergencies, the board shall not attempt to decide upon any question before examining and evaluating any information any person requests the board to consider. Number 2, the superintendent shall be given an opportunity to examine and to evaluate all such information and to recommend action before the board attempts to make a decision. The fact that this levy question was not included in this past election cycle demonstrates either a clear intention to exclude public input or a lack of planning and preparation. Either explanation displays your lack of trust in the community. How then will the community put any trust in board members who would push this agenda through without due process, and where no emergency exists to do so? Neighboring Chisago Lake School Board has already renewed their levy without public consent. Their lack of transparency within the community has already been a serious issue in that district. It is evidenced by the last 2 ballot measures failing by large margins. If Forest Lake proceeds in like manner, you will condemn the district to the same fate. The questions and comments being put before the board tonight meet the standard established by Policy 110, and thus I urge the board and superintendent to follow their own policy, effectively delaying any decision tonight, and purposefully consider comments and questions shared by the stakeholders represented here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm done with my list. Is there anybody else who has not spoken yet who would like to address the board?
One of this. Dr. Massey, members of the board. My name is Scott Dozinski. I've been in the community personally since 2019 when I retired out of the service. I've got a few points that many people have brought up, and I'm not going to rehash those for sake of everyone here. But I think the 2 things that are very important is 1, transparency to the community, and everyone has mentioned that transparency of the information coming from the board. This is a select group of folks that look for information. They dig for it, and they come prepared to talk about an issue at hand. The general community is not here. And part of it is to get their feedback before this is passed. So in the means of communication and transparency, we're not saying don't pass it. We're saying give the information to the community and put this to a vote at a later time if we so desire. But give them their due information. They voted in the first time. Let them put the pros and cons. Look at what has been done in the program, what the money has done to benefit, and give that to the community. Let it be passed on its merit, opposed to taking a vote before the community has the information they need to make a valuable decision. Nobody says it's not necessary, but we have plenty of time to take the due diligence to go through it. And you even had one member speak up here today. It's willing to volunteer to help to reduce costs. You have another person that came up and said they have great ideas on how to possibly cost share. Just because you have the money granted to you doesn't mean you have to spend it if you don't have a reason to spend it. So that is
all right, thank you, Scott. And I do see that your name's on here. I apologize for that. I missed it. Anyone else? Any other speakers? Any other speakers? If there's no further speakers, we'll close our public comment section. Thank you, everybody. Very good discussion. All right, reports. Listening session, Member Christensen and Raveline.
Yes, thank you. We had quite a few at the listening session this evening. There was 13 people there. We had a discussion about the pool. Someone from the Wave Makers Booster Club was there. And then we had mostly discussions similar to just occurred here regarding the levy. So I think that was it. Is that characterize it?
Add to that levy portion, that we did have a lot of questions about the timing of this potential extension that we're going to discuss here later this evening, questions about how the funding is used, questions about the process, the procedure, a lot of that. There seems to be at least some confusion in the community about exactly how this whole process works, how it plays out, what research we've done to justify a potential extension this evening. It was a really good dialogue, really good back and forth, but candidly, we did not have a lot of good information right now.
Thank you. Workshops and conferences, anybody?
Yes, I'd like to talk about the upcoming leadership conference. So MSBA's leadership conference is on January 16th and 17th at the Minneapolis Convention Center. I'm looking forward to seeing my fellow board members there. We have Member Corcoran receiving her President's Award for years of service, and she will be celebrated at the luncheon. And I know many members are going to be at that luncheon along with me. The Phase 1 workshop for new school board members learning to lead school board basics is going to be held right at the Convention Center. You can take that January 14th. It's actually a day prior. But the exciting news is that the Forest Lake Cantoray is going to be performing for the opening session. We have excellent speakers in the opening session and the closing session. So I will be hosting some of them as director of Area 14 and 15. So I hope to see people there, and I look forward to our new board members taking part in their trainings. Thank you.
And 916, Member Tyson.
Yes, so we met, our meeting was changed due to some trainings that their staff was taking, but our meeting was on December 12th. Member Rabel, you would have been very interested in this presentation. Elon Noor, the Director of Technology, gave a presentation on AI 916 Policy Assistant. So I know it was demonstrated out to area superintendents as well, so that's something that's coming down the pike, is AI Policy Assistant that can help you interpret your questions. So we recognized in retirements and did other regular board required activities. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Buildings and grounds, Member Corcoran or Member Hagelin?
I'll say defer to Member Corcoran if she's able, or it's me. I think it's a misprint, so it's myself and Member Hagelin on buildings and grounds.
Oh, okay.
We had a conversation about the Phase 2 HVAC project going on at the high school coming up here next year, starting. We did also open a bid for that last meeting, so looking forward to that. We had a discussion on the boiler replacement at the Ed Center, and then we discussed ongoing maintenance items, including the well out at Columbus, which have been an absolute troublesome issue, but fortunately it sounds like we're going to get that squared away here soon. So.
All right, thank you. City of Forest Lake, Member Christensen or Tyson?
I was not able to attend in December.
I wasn't either. I know there's a new mayor. Blake Roberts is now the mayor of Forest Lake, so looking forward to attending the new meetings.
Congratulations to him. Communications Committee, Member Hagelin and Peterson?
Yeah, we met, had discussion on the district website, and then talked about customer service and what that looks like throughout the district.
All right, thank you. Community Education, Member Christensen?
That group did not meet in December, so there's no meeting to report on.
Curriculum Instruction and Equity Committee, Member Ameline and Tyson?
Yeah, I can take that. We discussed the upcoming math standards and the math coaching program that we have in place. It was actually a really good interactive discussion between the committee members and the math coaches that we had. So it was really nice to get some insight on how that coaching program actually works. We've heard a lot about it on the board when we approved those positions, and it sounds like they're doing some really good work. That concludes my report. I don't know if Member Tyson has anything to add.
I was absent that day.
Well, that's right.
Thank you for
Sorry.
giving the report.
And with the Finance Committee, I can give that report. We looked at the FY25 budget status, looked at where we're at. We looked at long-term facilities management fund, balance correction and project plans, talking again about the same thing that Member Peterson talked about. And we looked at the self-insurance fund balance planning. Policy Committee, Member Rabline?
Yeah, I can cover that as well. The policy committee was pretty straightforward. We just have the three that we have down here that we're going to discuss for approval later. Or no, I'm sorry, those are not the ones. But they were mainly legislative requirements and updates. But one thing I would like to add for the members that will be with us in the coming weeks is we do have some policies we're going to review in depth coming up in the January 16th meeting. So just a little heads up on that.
Okay, thank you. Staff welfare, Member Christensen?
Yeah, we talked about some updates to the Reimagine plan. We talked about some upcoming things that we'll be looking into with the elementary school boundary changes. We spoke about the levy renewal, and we had an enrollment update, which looks good. So that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. And Superintendent's
Madam
report.
Chair, I'm sorry, could I report on the delegate assembly?
Yes.
Okay, so we, Rob and I presented our resolution. There were 29 resolutions brought to the floor for the delegate assembly on December 6th. 121 delegates from around the state. We're all there to hear these resolutions and kind of decide what would form MSBA, the Minnesota School Board Association's legislative platform. So Rob presented a resolution about our transportation, urging the legislature to increase the state's transportation sparsity formula from 35% to a minimum of 70%. And it did pass, so it will be included in their legislative platform. There was a little bit of pushback and good discussion around it. And, Minneapolis' school district, they think that this just represents a small number of schools. We countered with some good discussion about how we are significantly impacted in Forest Lake area schools, that for over 10 years we've been paying huge sums to the tune of $1 million, but now it's down to about $500,000 out of our general fund every year to run our buses. And we do know that our representative Patty Anderson on the floor did say to her constituents, no school district should be going broke trying to get their kids to school and in the classrooms. So anyway, I'm excited. There's a total of 29 resolutions that will be included, and the legislative session starts January 14th.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Massey.
I'd just like to thank Member Raphael and Member Tyson for their diligence, their hard work in getting that on the MSBA legislative agenda. That's going to be a big help for the district moving forward. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Superintendent's report, Dr. Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And on that note, the legislature will convene here in January in a couple of weeks. We'll bring to the board at our next meeting the legislative agenda for the district. And that'll be kind of our game plan and framework that we work at the legislature, one of which, of course, is our transportation issue. After the holiday break, school resumed today. And while other districts are still on break, I applaud our students for showing up today. When there are other districts that are off. And frankly, the same goes for our staff across the board. It's just the way the calendar works. So we're back underway as a school district. And in addition to that, all of our athletic programs are well into their season, as Member Christensen can attest to her participation with her kids and across the board. It's amazing to see the effort kids and families, for that matter, put into their athletic and co-curricular programs, and it's just impressive to see those opportunities for kids. The middle school orientation for 5th graders, due to the changes with Reimagine 2025, open house for fifth grade families moving into sixth grade at the middle school will be Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday next week, and the following week will be orientation for sixth grade families. So a very significant shift, as we know, for the district, and that begins in earnest beginning next week with orientation and exposure to programs and the school environment as a whole. And beginning next week, our new board will take their seats, and the organizational meeting will be on Wednesday, October 8th, and we will be, January 8th, thank you, Wednesday, January 8th. Note that that is different from our typical Thursday calendar, and that was due to conflicts with schedules. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. All right, are there any items 6.1 through 6.3 that people would like pulled from the consent agenda? If not, Member Clerk, could you please take a roll call on their
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Oh.
I'm on the way out.
Simultaneous.
Member Christensen votes aye. Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Eveline?
Aye.
Member Corcoran?
She muted.
I think she's muted because of the echo.
Oh, sorry. She did a little wave. Does that count? Member Corcoran? Oh, she's hit it again. She gave me a thumbs up there. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Member Corcoran votes aye. Member Hagelin?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
All right. 7.1, donations. Member Peterson?
And donations here, we received a $12,076.95 donation from the Full Court Club for Forest Lake Area High School boys basketball coaches. We received a $2,534 donation from the Blue Line Club for the boys hockey coach bus, boys hockey coach and bus to Grand Rapids and Virginia games. Coach bus, not coach, but coach bus. We received a $500 donation from the Gooden Company for Ranger Space Camp. Received a $100 donation from Jenny Peterson for the Ranger Space Camp. Received a $25 donation from Joanne Tiki, I think. I hope I didn't do that too poorly, from Forest Lake area for the Forest Lake Area Community Band. And we received building materials from Ben and Stacy Skowronek for the theater department, building materials for White Christmas and future productions valued at $1,892.39 for a total donation of $15,235.95 with the goods.
Right.
And I so move that we accept.
Second. Any discussion?
I would just like to say, as usual, I would like to thank the community for their generosity. It is amazing every month to be able to be here and approve these donations. Many things that students do from many different activities wouldn't happen if not for the generosity of our community and the donations they give. So,
And I just want to add one thing as well. Very generous of the Stownickies. I went to White Christmas. That set was beautiful and elaborate, and you could tell I just had so much work done on it. So certainly appreciate that generosity donating those materials.
All right, we'll add to that. So my son's in college now, and he was part of the theater department here, and his experience in college is nothing like the experience we've offered him here. He did a lot of set design, set build, and he's underwhelmed with the experience he's had in college, and that's just a testament to how well our high school program is doing, and exactly the experiences we're giving our students. So I felt it important to piggyback on Member Tyson and just mention that that team's doing a really great job, and it's because of the donations like this that we receive that that department can flourish. So thank you.
Very well said.
Member Clerk, could you please take a roll call?
Yes, Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Christensen votes aye. Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Eveline?
Aye.
Member Corcoran?
Aye.
Member Hagelin?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right. Agenda item 7.2, Forest Lake Area School staff retirement notices. We have one retirement. Clayton Benson, custodian at Forest Lake Elementary and Scandia Elementary, effective 12/31, following 4 years of service. Clayton, thank you for your service. And with that, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? I just say thank our custodians for the great work they do, and Clayton, have a great retirement. And with that, Member Clerk, could you please take a roll call?
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Christensen votes aye. Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Eveline?
Aye.
Member Corcoran? Aye. Member Hageman?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right, 7.3, consideration of resolution authorizing renewal of the school district operating levy. Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The district's current operating levy was passed by referendum in 2018. The levy rate is currently $986.67 to be exact per pupil, and generates approximately $6 million in general operating revenue for the school district each year. The levy is set to expire at the end of the 2027 school year. Over the terms of this 8-year levy, investments have been made in attracting and retaining high-quality educators, class size reductions, instructional design support and curricular resources, increased student support services, services for struggling students and for students ready for acceleration, increased educational opportunities in career and technical education, STEM, science, technology, and engineering, and advanced learning, and district financial stability. The Minnesota Legislature granted school boards authority to renew an existing levy under Minnesota Statute 126C.17 subdivision 9B. The statute states, a school board may renew an expiring referendum by board action if the per pupil amount of the referendum is the same as the amount expiring, the terms of the renewal referendum are no longer than the initial terms approved by the voters. The school board, having taken a record vote, has adopted a written resolution authorizing the renewal after holding a meeting and allowing public testimony on the proposed renewal. The expiring referendum has not been previously renewed under this subdivision, and the resolution must be adopted by the school board by June 15th of any calendar year and become effective 60 days after its adoption. A referendum expires in the final fiscal year in which the referendum generates revenue for the school district. The school board may renew an expiring referendum under this subdivision not more than 2 fiscal years prior to the referendum expiring. A school district renewing an expiring referendum under this subdivision must submit a copy of the adopted resolution to the commissioner and to the county auditor no later than September 1st of the calendar year in which the resolution is adopted.
Thank you. As presented by the superintendent, this resolution is in accordance with Minnesota Statute Section 126C-7.17 Subdivision 9B. This renewal will be for the same 8-year term and for the same per pupil amount as the expiring referendum. This resolution was presented as a board topic with its first reading at the December 5th, 2024 school board meeting. Per the statute, public testimony on this resolution was heard at the beginning of tonight's meeting. This levy renewal is necessary for financing our district's academic mission. With that, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the renewal of an expiring referendum revenue authority.
Second.
Is there a first?
Move to approve?
I'll second it.
All right.
I thought you were calling the motion, which is within your purview as chair, so I was seconding your motion.
Fair enough.
Not.
Great. All right, discussion?
Yeah, so I hope in the opening of that, we answered some of the questions that came up earlier tonight along why this meeting's happening today. Obviously, it couldn't be renewed last year because we'd have been more than 2 years outside of the renewal date, so it couldn't have been done then. It has to be done post January 1, prior to June 15th of the calendar year, which sets today as a great time to do it, which is why it was on the agenda. Obviously, I support this. I'm going to speak in favor of it. I believe we should do this. And I say that it was interesting having former member Moorhead here, as her and I definitely spent some time at the board table having at length discussion on the previous referendum and how much that should be, only to have it fail the first time and then have to go out and run that campaign again a second time in order to get it passed. And it actually ended up passing for more the second time because we then were further down the line and created more of a problem budgetarily that had to be corrected. And so I think this is the responsible thing to do, which is secure some funding. And if it's not enough for the entire 8 years, the next school board will have the opportunity to go out to the public and put before them an increase to that levy if such an increase is needed. So for that reason, I absolutely will be voting in favor of this tonight, and I encourage all the rest of you to do so as well.
Hello. So for me, I just want to reiterate that this is not a new topic down at the Capitol. Legislators have been looking at this, studying the data. We have indisputable facts that start with 2014 to 2023, and it shows, I could read them off. 99.2% of levies that districts paid for and went out for levies to the voters passed. So I think this is democracy. We had our elected officials at the Capitol pass this on to us so we can have flexibility and autonomy to maintain stability, financial stability in our district. And I think that's important. My daughters both graduated from Forest Lake. When it was in disarray, teaching and learning was cut to the bone, bare bones, lights off in everybody's office. My daughter took science classes. The sinks looked like they were corroded and from 30 years ago, corroded and rusty and broken. So I don't even want to think about that happening. And I think our district has progressed so far and worked so hard at becoming the premier district it is that I'm so proud of where we're at that I just can't even think about going backwards, and I don't think we will. Because you know what? There were things around the campaign time that were hung rather illegally on people's mailboxes, and they were given to my neighbors. I live across from the hockey arena in the families. I have middle school there. I've got high school over there. I've got elementary there. I'm right around all the parents all the time. I always have been for 12 years. So anyway, that gave me an opportunity to have a lot of discussion around people calling me and asking me, messaging me, texting me, Gail, what is this I got about this is going to happen and it's illegal and it's this and that? No, it was passed in the Education Omnibus Bill in July of 2023, and this is some autonomy and flexibility that's being granted to school boards, along with cities can do it and counties can do it. And so in my heart of hearts, it doesn't feel illegal. People have already voted and it's in place. It's simply the exact amount, the exact same duration. There's nothing hidden in there. And there's eligibility windows. If you go and look at the actual legislation, as Member Peterson just talked about, that you have to fall within a certain window to take advantage of this opportunity. So one thing that I wanted to read is a couple of quotes that I kept from things that my constituents and parents in my neighborhood said. One dad with 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy, said to me, well, why would you want to waste that money? If you don't have to do that, why do you want to waste that money? And I said, I know, that's a good point. Another mom talked about quite in depth about how this detracts from the #1 thing that we're here to do, educate our students. And when it's a big distraction, some of the people that got up talked about it, I lived it, I breathed it, we know, it is a big distraction. And if it's unnecessary, why do it? We're here to educate our students. That's our #1 priority, and educate. I'm elected to represent every student in my district. So 28 districts, and I've talked to people in some of the districts, have already utilized this opportunity with very little pushback. So I will be voting yes for this. I don't feel that it's anything deceitful, wrong. I've been on many levy runs, rounding up all those votes, helping people understand, helping myself understand where the money's going to go. So this is pretty clear. It's very transparent. It's not a rush job. So I will be voting yes, and that is how I feel tonight.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Are we going down the line here, or you guys?
You're next to me.
We're going down the line. Well, thank you. I also will be voting yes to renew this levy after a lot of thought about it and discussions with a lot of staff members, teachers, and others, a lot of discussions about that. And I would agree for the same points that others have made here. Another thing that I think people something else to brought up that people haven't brought up yet is I feel like we are trying to do the fiscally responsible thing, and we're trying to hold the line with no increases. We're keeping the levy the same. And I do think that by forcing districts to hold elections for no increase levies, it reinforces the perception that schools are constantly asking for money. So I think that is another thing that we should be thinking about. If we're going out and we're asking for the exact same, it is not an increase. It just reinforces the perception that we're out there constantly asking for money. And I would agree with a lot of these folks that already said, we worked, I was also involved in trying to help pass the 2018 levy, and it's a lot of work, and I can repeat a lot of the things that people said. But I am firmly for this. I have no hesitation. This is the right thing to do. I love what Mrs. Moorhead said. I mean, we are elected to be fiduciary responsible. We have the fiduciary responsibility to do the best that we can for our school district with the information that we are given. And there's a lot that goes into being a school board member. We don't just come up here twice a month for these meetings and sit here and then we just go home. I mean, there's a lot more involved. We have a lot more information. We're able to meet with people. We're able to ask questions. So I feel fully informed. I don't have a hesitation in voting yes.
I have some comments I wrote down coming to the meeting here. So the proposed levy renewal brought to this body tonight for approval comes with several concerns for me. First of all, when we decided as a body to move the 6th grade from our elementary schools to the middle school, we announced the proposal months in advance of the final vote, hosted several meetings to obtain public feedback, and sent out surveys to families. One recurring theme is that from that survey was families felt the process was rushed and lacked transparency. Now only a couple of months removed, here we are again looking to make another significant decision without learning the lessons from that process, by not giving the public time to hear the details, ask questions, and get answers. We have heard from several people tonight who have raised valid points, and I've also received several emails with similar concerns, and their comments will not be able to be truly given thoughtful consideration by this body before voting. All this body did tonight by allowing public comment on this topic was to give lip service with no real intent on hearing what they had to say, as agenda item 7.3 is already written, as the board is approving it without giving these residents time to have their questions answered. Secondly, the current levy has 2 years before it expires. Plenty of time for the public to be involved, give them a better understanding of the pros and cons of renewal, or letting it expire and going out for a new levy. This proposal is being brought up for a vote by a lame duck board conveniently after the last election cycle at a repurposed January meeting and immediately following a long holiday break. This does not give any indication of transparency or trust in our residents. By forcing this levy renewal through at the 11th hour before the makeup of this body changes, The message being sent is voters cannot be trusted who they elect to serve on the school board, and voters cannot be trusted to make decisions about financing the district. I disagree with both of those thoughts. I have stated in the past, and I stand by my statement, that although the legislature gave school boards the ability to renew an existing levy that was passed well after the levy was approved in 2018. If this authority had been in place when the levy was originally passed, I would carefully consider using it. But since it was not, and due to the other concerns I've just spoken about, I will not betray the trust of the voters and will not support the levy renewal.
All right, yes, my turn. All right, so Member Hagelin already addressed many of the things I was going to bring up. Therefore, in the interest of time, I'll simply offer my support of his statements and do my best to avoid redundancy as I move forward here. That said, I'd like to start by calling attention to a prior statement from an outgoing member of this board. And I'll do my best to quote directly. Quote, doesn't go through any committees where people can comment on it. It's just not transparent. It's the board coming up with something and sneaking it in at the last minute. The public has not had a chance to look at it, to think about it. I do not like this approach of just throwing something out without the public seeing it. It's not transparent, right? We as a board, we need to be a board that's transparent. We're open. What we do is available to everybody. People have a chance to comment on it. And this kind of thing where you just throw something out would have been easy to bring this forward. End quote. Those words were delivered to this board at my very first meeting on a non-controversial topic that eventually passed on a unanimous vote. This levy renewal before us tonight is far from non-controversial. Presenting it to the public during a period of extreme political exhaustion, when most families were concentrating their attention on celebrating the birth of our Lord, New Year's, and family vacations is far from transparent as far as I'm concerned. On the contrary, it's a lame duck board coming up with something and sneaking it in at the last minute due to a voter-approved expiration date on the status quo. It's a power play that reeks of desperation and significantly erodes the public trust in this body, putting future supplemental funding at an elevated risk. There's no justifiable reason to act on this today. There's no urgent need or pressing deadline that we're coming up against. In choosing the board renewal option, it's imperative that we undertake that effort in a collaborative and transparent manner, and that we have our community behind us in doing so. Unfortunately, the calls for transparency that I read earlier must only apply when transparency fits the proper narrative. Transparency and community collaboration are certainly not how we've chosen to proceed in this case, not tonight. As a result, I will likely be forced to vote against what may very well be the right thing to do for the district. I strongly support giving this topic more time and attention, doing a deeper analysis of current and projected district financials, and even conducting community surveys. These efforts will provide the board with much needed information prior to making a final determination on that resolution. Therefore, I move to table this motion until May 1st to give the board adequate time to evaluate the complete ramifications of this decision.
Second.
Okay, so a lay on the table does not have any debate. So if you are in favor, so we'll take a roll call vote, but if you vote yes, that's for tabling the resolution. If you vote no, that means we take care of it tonight.
Sorry, point of inquiry for Dr. Massey. When would be the last date that this could be renewed?
No, we're not taking public
Is
input. Thank you.
June of 27?
Okay, so can you
Please.
repeat that?
So we have a roll call vote. Member Rabeline asked to table the motion or the resolution, and so that if you vote yes, then we put it on hold till a later time. If you vote no, then we take care of it tonight.
Okay, and then are we done with discussion? Or did you,
No.
what did you say about, okay.
Just not.
Because I want to address something.
Yeah, we're not done with discussion. There's just no discussion on a table.
Gotcha.
All right.
Thank you.
Member Clerk, please
Okay.
take a roll call.
Member Hagelin?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Nay.
Member Rayfield?
No.
Member Christensen votes nay. Member Tyson?
No.
Member Ebeline?
Aye.
Member Corcoran?
Okay, so we're back to our discussion.
So I'd like to address a couple of things that Member What? Member Hagelin?
Point of order. Does Member Corcoran have any comments that she'd like to make prior to starting over in the rotation? Or Member Raphael?
That's fair. Member Corcoran?
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's hard when I'm not there. I apologize for missing this important meeting. I guess it's been a real emotional meeting. I'm hearing all aspects from different people. I've been on the board 17 years, and I've been through many levies, bonds. It's physically exhausting and mentally exhausting for families on the vote yes committee, financial reasons.
Member Corcoran, could you hold on just a second? Could we try to get a volume up a little bit?
Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. Not your fault.
So, yeah, I
Hold on, hold on. Okay, try now.
Okay, is that better?
A little bit. Is the microphone on?
Okay, so yes, I was just speaking to the fact that I've been on many levy committees, on votes, many referendums for many years, and I just think I just can't imagine not approving it. It's been weighing on my heart and my head for a long time, and I just want to make sure I'm the treasurer for the school district at this moment, and the fiduciary responsibility is very weighing to me. We can't jeopardize losing $6 million. I can't imagine what our district would become. And some of the accusations of being illegal and doing something bad when the state has given us the authority to do it has been very hurtful to me and upsetting. I feel like, we're ethical people, especially speaking for myself, doing the right thing and being ethical and being considerate of what's the right thing. So for me, yeah, it's been a real hard meeting not to be there, but I believe in my heart and what's good for our students and staff and our community is to get this approved. So I'm supporting it for tonight.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I just wanted to address a couple comments made by Member Hagelin, and I kind of feel offended by your use of lip service because I don't give people that elect me lip service. I listen to what they're saying, I return their calls, I return their emails. I've been on the board, elected 4 times now, so that doesn't happen in my situation. And I believe that being on the board that long, I've probably had, I don't even know how many conversations with people over our financial picture. And out of 343 districts in the state of Minnesota, no 2 districts have the same financial portrait. So I think the experience and the voices of some of the people that have been on the board for a long time speak loudly. And while I'm hearing this, over here, I hear positivity and I hear trust. I'm told, Gail, I trust you, we trust you. That's why we continue to elect you. That's why you're there. So, and also Member Raveline, we've had some discussions as well. And you and I have had some good talks about how, we need to wrap our heads around doing this and what are the reasons and historically what has gone on in our district financially. You and I have had some good dialogue about that. So I just want to say I was hopeful that you'd vote for this tonight. So that concludes what I want to say.
All right, I'd like to comment on this. So when I look at this renewal, so we could pass that renewal, right? If we pass that renewal, it means we've got a 0% increase. We have stable funding and budgeting. We have the ability next year to increase go up for a levy, or the year after go up for a levy to meet additional needs if necessary. That's up to the next board. That's fine. And it gives us a stable base by which to do budgeting. Because one of the greatest things about this long-term levy has been that we've been able to rely on it and do our budgeting according to it, and not have to go through that budgeting cycle assuming that you've got these really major cuts whether the levy passed or not. Because when you think about the next year, if you don't have that levy in place, then you have to budget as if it's failed. And so that, say yes tonight, renew the levy, 0% increase, $6 million in funding doesn't get cut, 100 teachers stay on the job, and you got stable budgeting. Let's say this resolution fails and it goes into the next year, right? So you've got that good stuff going on here. Let's say you go into the next year and you want to run a levy, right? So if you want to run a levy, whether it passes or fails, you've got about $50,000 to $60,000 that the Vote Yes campaign has to spend, because they have to get out the information to all the voters in this district a lot, right? And the mailings are expensive, everything's expensive. Every levy that's failed, the no voters will say, well, we didn't get enough information. And so it's always a race to raise money, that's all donations, right? To raise money and get out the mailings, get out the information about the levy, right? It's a huge amount of money that has to come from the public to pass these levies. And then additionally, you have, as people have spoke to tonight, you've got all these people that have to volunteer on this levy. So now this levy campaign is going to be, hey, vote yes, keep things exactly the same, right? That's going to be the campaign, and you've got to get all these people on board to make phone calls, put up signs, do all this stuff. And this is just to keep the funding the same, just to keep it the same, just to not have $6 million, 100 teachers cut, right? Okay, so again, that's whether going out for a levy passes or fails. If it passes, you're right back where we are tonight, right? You're right back where you are tonight. You spent $50,000 of the public's donation money and $50,000 from the district if you run it this year, right? For the election that costs the district, right? So 100 grand, you've spent all that money, spent all that time, all that volunteering, and you end up right back where you are tonight. Now let's say it fails. All of a sudden you're, in that year, you're budgeting to cut 100 employees directly related to student learning, right? Okay, to me, neither one of those choices makes any sense. And that first choice, which we're looking at tonight, makes sense. 0% increase, you keep your employees, you keep the great academic programs we have, and you're good. And going into next year, the board has a chance to think about things other than a renewal levy. And that is so powerful in moving this district forward. I know that from personal experience, that when we were in that cycle of going from levy to levy to levy to levy to levy to bond to levy to bond, we could not move forward because we were always in a cycle of having to go out to the public and then falling off threatening to fall off a cliff, going out again, and we were always in that cycle. And so that by passing this, we are setting a stable base for moving forward for the district. And it puts the new board in a great position to be able to answer the questions that are facing the district. How do we get our tech, how do we continue to support our tech programs? How do we keep our great pathways, academic pathways together? How do we keep doing the reimagine? How do we keep doing those things without getting wrapped around the axle with a levy? And so that's why I am in favor of passing this. Transparency, you're all here. We've had a month, we've had a first reading, and I think this is good for the district. This is good for the district.
Based on your comments, just a clarifying question. So you said if we pass this tonight, the new board will, in a year or two, a couple years, we could go for a levy again, a new levy on top of this, or add to it, right? Am I correct how you understand?
Right. If there's a need.
So if there's a need there, this levy gets passed tonight. A year or 2 or 3 from now, the new board's set, and we find that we need to add to that. Based on some of the comments I've heard here tonight and the way that people would react to them having their vote taken away, what makes you think that a levy is going to pass in 2 or 3 or even the next year after this one expires by not giving the voters the opportunity to voice their opinion? We've heard many times that these levies pass 90% of the time. So do you honestly think that us taking that vote away from the public tonight and 3 years from now coming up and saying, oh, sorry, we need more money, you honestly think that that's going to pass?
I can answer that question. Yes. I think that the alternative of going into next year and saying we want to renew and add an additional amount has a much harder time passing. And the reason, and I've seen that in the past, is because when you go out to the public and you say, we're just doing this renewal and we're adding some on it. So let's say you've got a $6 million renewal and you want to do $3 million additional. The public will always see it's $11 million. And they're like, oh, well, that's a lot of money. Forget it, right? And so then it's even harder for the Vote Yes committee to make that case because they have to have on every piece of literature. This is a renewal. It doesn't change anything. It's just keeping things steady, right?
No, but what I'm saying is,
but that's what I'm saying.
But if you think that we're going to come back in 3 years and ask for more levy on top of that, based on what we've heard tonight, I don't think you were hearing the people that we're taking their vote away. They want to be able to have that say. And if we take their vote away tonight and then come back for more money, all that time that you're talking about, volunteer hours and the money to run a campaign, that is for sure going to fail. I guarantee you.
Let me finish. And so what I'm saying is, if you go out to the public with a levy that's double the size, that's what they're going to look at. And the Vote Yes committee is going to struggle to make that case that one is a renewal and the other is not. And I know that from personal experience because I've worked on levies where we've done that, and it's very difficult to get that across. And I don't believe that this, hold on, I'm speaking, and I don't believe that this is all that big a deal. It's a renewal of an existing levy, and the consequences of not passing it are devastating. Go ahead.
I have something to add. So, you're talking about these people. I'm talking about my constituents. I was out campaigning all fall. I had many conversations about this. My people, my constituents, my parents want it done. They're not here. So you're saying, listening to the people, I'm listening to the people, right? You keep referring to the people. So I just want to clarify that.
Member Peterson?
So I want to address a few of the comments there. First, the notion that there was no transparency on this is absolutely ludicrous. This was on the December 5th agenda. It was notified to the public. It was put out to the public December 5th. We had public comment for the December 5th agenda. People could have showed up, had comment on it. And also, clearly, folks knew because, well, they're here tonight. I'd also like to say that the realities that the first reading allowed for the input from everybody, obviously. Second, the fact that some folks want to claim this as a lame duck board. I was elected for 4 years, 4 full years, right? That ends January 6th. I intend to fulfill my term, and unlike some people, I won't walk out of a meeting when it gets tough. I'm going to stay here and do the job I was elected for. That being said, it's clear that some folks in the room who are on the board have never sat through budget cuts. I have. I've watched what millions of dollars coming off of the budget does to folks. I've watched what it did before I was on the board, and I watched what it did while I was on the board. I know what it's like to cut people's salaries, to have employees call you crying because they don't have jobs. I know what it's like to cut janitorial supplies because we've cut so far that there's nothing left to cut, so we're wondering if we can cut toilet paper. I've seen it. I've done it. I've made those decisions. We've cut programs. We've cut schools. We've closed schools. The notion that people think there's all these efficiencies out here that we haven't looked for is absolutely ridiculous. This district runs on one of the leanest budgets. I would put this up against any corporation out there anywhere for our overhead for management, for the overhead for the supplies that we run. I worked for many companies, and I can tell you the amount of waste there compared to what's here is not even comparable. The new board coming in should look at this as a gift. It's a gift to them because they don't have to sit through those budget cuts right out of the gate. Because I've done it. This meeting, tonight's meeting, that some people imply is a special meeting that we're trying to sneak in, it's only been on the calendar for 1.5 years. It just so happens that the calendar worked out that the first Thursday is January 2nd. And that by law, a new board doesn't take its seat until after January 2nd. So here we are, finishing our term, doing the work we were elected for, because that's what some of us do. We stay in the meeting and we actually take the votes, even when they're unpopular.
I have a couple of comments to make here. So, if my math is correct, this is my 53rd or 54th meeting since joining the board, and in that time I've had hundreds of votes like the rest of us here, and I can honestly say this is probably the most difficult vote that I've had to look at. There are a lot of reasons to vote for this. There are some reasons to vote against it. I'm not even going to say there's a majority of reasons to vote against it, but what really concerns me the most is the timing. And I've shared this openly with everybody I've talked about on this, is the timing of this. As Member Hagelin mentioned, we're coming right off the heels of the Reimagine 2025. The feedback we received from the community was overwhelmingly that they wanted more time to digest what we were doing. They wanted more time to understand the change. They wanted more time to fully appreciate some of the things that we as board members already knew, because we're privy to more information, and we're privy to information sooner than they are. And I look at this not through the lens of what's my term, or how much longer am I going to be on the board, or as Member Peterson mentioned, the gift, because yeah, stable funding is a great gift to any organization at any point in time. I look at it potentially decades out, and what is the trickle-down effect? I do remember the bonding efforts and the levy efforts. I was part of that. I was part of an advisory committee that tried to advise the board on what we should do after the levy failed a number of times. And if I remember right, the previous levy was like 460-ish, and this actually added 825 to it. So mathematically, it more than doubled, almost tripled the last time. So the community will support the schools when the need is there. And I trust our community to do that for us. And the way I'm looking at this tonight is I want the community to have that same trust in us. And what I heard during the Reimagine process is help get us on board, help bring us up to speed, get us the information, be open and collaborative. And I read that quote from the previous meeting because it's a good thing to keep in the back of my mind. And I've kept it in the back of my mind since that night I heard it. I always knew it was important to be transparent, important to be open, but I needed to rethink the process and how do we actually engage the community? How do we get people on board? And like Mr. Domanzinski mentioned earlier tonight, the group that's before us tonight, this is a group that's engaged. When I look across the crowd tonight, I don't see new faces. I see a lot of the same people that I talk to regularly, that know what we're doing as soon as we publish it. I even had some reach out and say, hey, I haven't seen the actual resolution posted on the website. So this group, they know what's going on. This is the group that we can count on for feedback. And tonight, the feedback we received, the majority of it was that we're moving too quick and they want more time. And that was the reason that I made the motion to table, was because I want to be respectful of the community and show them that we as a board can be trusted to listen to their feedback and to help get them on board. Because I do truly believe that we need the community support. Not just for this renewal, but if this goes all the way through 2035 or 2036, I forget how the fiscal and the calendar years map out, specifically in this case, we will need another levy at that point in time if we want to continue with this funding. And if we're able to make major changes to salaries and we're able to bring in some additional fiscal stability to the district, that cliff is going to be even larger in the mid-2030s, and we need our community on board to support what we ask for next. So that's my hesitation here tonight. And I don't think that giving the community a few more months to digest this is really that much of an ask.
I call a question.
Second.
All right, we're gonna need 2/3 for that. Member Clerk, could you please take a roll call to see if we call the question or in debate?
Member Corcoran?
Aye.
Member Hagelin?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Christensen votes aye. Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Ebeline?
Aye. All right, so we've ended debate. So with that, Member Clerk, could you please take a roll call on the resolution?
Member Ebeline?
No.
Member Corcoran?
Aye.
Member Hagelin?
No.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Christensen votes aye. Member Tyson?
Aye.
Aye. Or excuse me.
All right, the resolution is approved. All right. 7.4, Transportation Employee Drug, Alcohol, and Cannabis Testing Policy 313. Superintendent?
Seems a bit anticlimactic, but we've got a few policies to get through. This policy is related to all school district transportation employees whose positions require a commercial driver's license. There are some statutory changes, those are noted in the policy, and administration recommends approval.
Right, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
I do have one question on this. To the superintendent, if you could answer on E4. I know, there's this term pre-sensitive functions, and I can figure out what that is, right? Anything that's dangerous, but what does, how do we arrive at the 4 hours for that? Do you know if that's statute or E4?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Sorry.
I believe that comes from bodies of research that
Okay.
indicate the residual effect of chemicals in one system, and I don't know that that is.
I was just curious how that was arrived at.
Comes out of the model policy with MSP.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you.
Great, any further discussion? If not, Member Clerk, could you please take a roll call?
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Ebeline?
Aye.
Member Corcoran?
Aye.
Member Hagelin?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Christensen votes aye.
All right, thank you. 7.5, Drug-Free Workplace, Drug-Free School Policy 435.
The purpose of this policy is to maintain a safe and healthy environment for employees and students by prohibiting the use of alcohol, toxic substances, medical cannabis, intoxicating cannabinoid, edible cannabinoids, products, and controlled substances without a physician's prescription. And you'll see on page 3 of the policy, there's the additional language regarding employees that are part of, or individuals that are part of the patient registry with respect to access to these kind of substances based on medical prescription. With that addition, the administration recommends approval.
Move to approve. Second.
Discussion? There's no discussion. Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Christensen votes aye. Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Ebeline?
Aye.
Member Corcoran? Aye. Member Hagelin?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye. Motion's approved. 7.6, graduation requirements policy 613.
This policy spells out the requirements for high school graduation. Given the fact that 7th and 8th grade and now 6, 7, 8 are courses at the middle school that do not pertain to high school graduation, we are recommending that we strike the identification of middle school credits and courses because they're not germane to this policy. The administration recommends approval.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion? There's no discussion. Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Christensen votes aye. Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Ebeline?
Aye.
Member Corcoran? Aye. Member Hagelin?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
And motion's approved. And before we leave, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight and giving your input. It's very much appreciated. It's always good to have a bunch of people coming to a meeting.
I just want to thank the public for the opportunity to serve in this position. It's my last meeting, and it's been a pleasure.
And I would like to say the same. It's also my last meeting and exciting one to boot. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Member Clerk, could you please take a roll call to adjourn?
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Christensen votes aye. Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Ebeline?
Aye.
Member Corcoran? Aye. Member Hagelin?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, Member Corcoran.